Hey friends, I'm Janelle, a writer, curator, and local church leader who has been allured by God for good. Join me around the table for a conversation as we learn and love God's voice through His Word in the midst of our own personal journeys. Hey people, welcome to Allured by God for Good. I'm your host, Janelle. Thanks for joining me at the table. Grab a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and let's dive into this episode. I think I may have said it before, but I'm probably going to stay in this zone and this theme of a race for a little bit. God's really been stirring up a lot of scripture, a lot of ideas around this, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a little bit of maybe not wisdom, I am a little older, but encouragement and inspiration on this race that we're in. What made me think about today's was this. I don't know if you remember the fairy tale. It's really a fable called The Tortoise and the Hare. A lot of us heard of this story when we were little, and the lesson in it is that slow and steady wins the race. It's a great lesson. However, it's not always true. But today, we're not going to talk about, at least not right now, the participants. We want to talk about the path, okay? I want to turn the table a little bit because I think there's something that we can learn from the race and the road. We can be aware and attentive to both, and we should be. And so here's what I mean by this. The race are the facts, okay? The race just has facts around it. When is it? Where is it? How long is it? Now, people, I'm talking about a real race, okay? These are the things that you think about. Some of you are like, I don't want to race. I don't want to sign up for running. Only if someone's chasing me. I get that. But we're going to talk about the dynamics of it. So the race have the facts. The road are the features, okay? The road contains the features, which are a lot of variables in that. There is the terrain, there are unexpected obstacles in that, and even the weather, because the weather can affect the road. And so your race, you have the facts. Your road, you have these variables and things that could change. So it's the features of it. Okay, so I want to talk for a few minutes about an actual race. I live in Atlanta. We have a huge race here called the Peachtree Road Race. Happens every July 4th, early in the morning. And since it's July, it is really hot. So you're prepared for that. And we know what the route is. So these are the facts of the race, okay? This is a 10K race. So it's the biggest 10K race in the world, actually. People fly from everywhere to be a part of this race because it's not only challenging, just a little bit, but it's also fun. So people get in groups and they'll dress up and have fun on the way. It is kind of crazy. I have run this several times, and there are little stations, not just of Gatorade, there are donuts that you can pick up. Some people are actually picking up beer on the way, and it's just like a party from beginning to end of this 10K race, okay? There's a place on it though, there's a hill, it's called Heart Attack Hill. It's called that for a few reasons. It is the steepest hill in the race, so it's pretty challenging. A lot of people will start walking at this point when they get there. It's also right in front of a hospital. And so it just kind of made sense for that nickname to stick. And so we look at the race, the facts around Peachtree Road Race, and then you look at the road. You know where you're starting, kind of at Lenox Mall, and then you're going to end in Piedmont Park. And so that route is pretty simple to map out. Okay, let me give you another example. My husband and I, for whatever reason, decided to run a half marathon. This was like 15 years ago, okay? We were like, let's take this challenge on. Let's run a half marathon. So we signed up. Now, a half marathon is 13.1 miles. That's part of the race. We knew what the expectation was. We knew we needed to train for that. 13.1 miles. Here's another fact about this race is that it was in Knoxville, Tennessee. So we also knew without going there that it was not going to be just flat terrain. So we lived in Texas for a couple years and I ran some 5Ks in Texas. Texas is flat and there are very few turns. It's a pretty boring race if you're running this in Houston, Texas. Knoxville is the opposite. You're going to have lots of hills, lots of turns. And so we knew what the race held. What we didn't know was the road conditions. We didn't go beforehand to try it out. We just kind of were like, okay, it'll be hilly. We'll train for that. Well, what happened is that this race was in March. So could be cold, could be warm. We weren't really sure because it was mid-March when this race was held. Ended up being rainy and it was about 45 degrees the morning that we started. Not ideal conditions. So what that did is that made the road in this race just uncertain. The roads were slippery. It made turns harder to take. There were some areas that we didn't know were more gravelly or they had potholes. It was unfamiliar territory. So the road honestly became a little bit of a hindrance. And so for me, I remember running, felt good about this. We had trained for it. I get to mile 9. It's a little bit of a hill and a turn that I didn't really know how much of a curve it was. And when I took that turn, I felt something pop in my hip. And typically when that happens, then your knee also kind of twerks a little bit. And so this whole side of my body just tried to compensate. And something hurt really, really bad. And so at that mile 9, something changed. I wasn't thinking just about the race and the road, which both of those things were still on my mind because I'm at mile 9, so I know I have 3 more miles to go. And I'm thinking about the road because it's been uncertain and I don't even know what lies ahead. But what's happening now is I'm thinking about my pace. That's the third aspect to this, is that I had to fall back a little bit. I had to regroup my body and my mind and think about the pace I was going to continue to go at. And so let's talk about this spiritually, okay? The race. There are a lot of facts that we know about our own life. There are facts that you know about yours. Same here. I know kind of what family I came from, what circumstances I came from. This is the personality that I'm living in now. You know you. And so those are the facts of the race. What you don't know about the road ahead are all the features. You're not certain about the terrain or the weather or unexpected obstacles that are going to come your way. But here's what I want you to do, is I want you to give yourself grace to adjust the pace. Give yourself grace to adjust the pace in this race, okay? You not only have to participate, but give yourself flexibility and patience. I had to do that at mile 9. I wanted to finish this half marathon so bad. And so I had to get in the right frame of mind, realize I have this little bit of an injury. So I needed to shift my weight. I needed to run a little bit slower, a little bit different in order to make it to the finish line. But I did it. And so that was a win. Okay? So we're thinking about the race, the road, and your own pace. Sometimes you're going to go really fast, like the hare in the tortoise, and that's totally fine. And then there are times, like the tortoise, that you're going to need to stop. You're going to need to regroup and slow down your pace a little bit, just dependent on what's going on this race and in the road. Okay? I want us to read 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24, because I'm going to bring this home a little bit through a story that's something that just happened in our own life. So this is Paul talking. Paul talks a lot about the race. He saw his life as a race. And so that's why I want us to see ours like that as well. He knew it. He knew who he was as far as this Jewish man who had grown up in a very legalistic culture and believed one thing. And then there was a lot he didn't know ahead because he had been transformed by Jesus. And he had been called to preach the gospel, not only to his own people, but the Gentiles. So there was a lot out there that he didn't know. And he was aware and attentive to both. And so let's read this, verse 24. He says, "Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize?" And then here's the command to us. Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Run in such a way. So I want you to think about that for a minute, because running in such a way requires you to be aware and attentive to the race, to the facts, to the road, which are the features, and to be aware and attentive to what your pace needs to be in it. Okay? Think about this. We have the Olympics coming up. Oh my gosh, I love the Olympics. Our family loves the Olympics. I'm not even sure why. We are not a sports family at all, like zero. I think my kids played a few little league sports and they're like, no, we're going to take piano and make movies. We're not going to play any sports. But we do love the Olympics. And I don't know if it is the camaraderie, the cheering of each other on, that you have these walls that are broken down between countries, between athletes, and you just love watching it and being excited for whoever is going to win, whether it's your own country or it's the underdog. But we love the Olympics. And so I want you to think about this. The Olympics obviously have races. The shortest running race in the Olympics is 100 meters. That's not very far. That's probably from where you are to just a couple blocks. Maybe not even that, maybe one block down the road. So 100 meters is the shortest race. And then you have the longest race in the Olympics, which is a marathon, and it's 42,200 meters. That is a big difference, okay? Big difference. 100 right over 42,000. Here's the deal, y'all. At the end of the day, the winners of both of these races receive the exact same prize. Both of those winners stand on a podium listening to their national anthem. Their flag is raised and they both receive a gold. It doesn't matter how long their race was at that point. The prize is the same. And so in context, I want to put that in my own personal illustration, because Mike was diagnosed with cancer in 2022. 1 month before he was diagnosed, one of our friends was diagnosed with cancer. Her name was Erin. She was diagnosed in February of 2022 of stage 4. We were 1 month later. Erin and Jake kindly and so generously walked with us because we didn't really have an oncologist and we were trying to get into Emory, which is a great hospital here in Atlanta, and they helped us to do that. And so for several years, we were walking in this same race of cancer. That was different cancers. So again, the road was different. The race was a little bit different for both of us, but we were both parallel going on this race. And as Mike started to get to a place of maintaining, Aaron just had challenge after challenge, a surgery and treatment that didn't work, or it didn't work enough. And so trying something else or doing a trial, and there were all these unexpected obstacles that she kept having on her race, and we didn't. And so just a couple of months ago, Erin lost her battle with cancer. This is a young mom of 3. She's got a daughter in college, 2 kids that are still home, and I mean, just a joy of a family, all of them, and just lovely. Her life was lovely and beautiful and bright. And I remember in those days after I found out that she passed and we were getting ready to hold her celebration of life, I wasn't wrestling with God, but I definitely was talking to him about this concept. Why? Why, God? Why her and not us? Like, our kids are grown and on their own, and there was so much left for Aaron to experience. So why? And he reminded me of the illustration of the race. He said, remember those Olympic winners? They received the same prize. And he was so kind in gently reminding me that Aaron and Mike are going to receive the same prize. She just got hers a little sooner. And it made me realize that we do need to be aware and attentive of our race, of our road, and be kind to ourselves in the pace. But that what needs to stand in front of us is the reward. What needs to be in front of us and what we are running toward is the prize. And Paul tells us that. Run in such a way that you may obtain the prize, that you may obtain Jesus. And Aaron did that. And Mike is doing that. It's just that our races are different. And so I want you to realize the truths in both of those things. To be aware and attentive of the race, which are the facts, of the road, which are all the features of it and the uncertainties of it. And be kind to yourself in the pace. Be tender toward your pace and how fast or slow that you need to be running. And then also realize that the goal of the race is not the experience of it. It is the finish line. How do we run? How do we train? How do we finish well? Paul encourages that over and over and over again. And so hopefully these can encourage you, again, to be attentive to how you're running, how we're training, so that we may finish well and that we may run to obtain Jesus. That is the end goal. No matter if you run 100 meters or 42,000 meters. So hopefully that is encouraging to you. It is to me. Trusting God on this race of life, that it's going to be amazing and it's going to be challenging, and that we will all cross that finish line and see Him face to face when it's over. So thanks for joining me around the table today, and I will see you next time on Allured by God for Good.